Hello, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. We have been talking about stages of relationship. Last time, we talked in great detail about what this initial stage of relationship means and some really great ways to check in with yourself about if you're showing up fully so that you can make a really great choice for yourself in that first stage of dating, getting to know each other. And so today we want to continue this series by talking about the second stage of relationship. We're calling this, what are we calling it? Well, let's
Commitment?
get in commitment. Yes, in general, it is commitment, but we're going to get into what the second stage comprises. And I want to start this off, Bridget, by asking you, when you think about moving from dating casually to committed relationship, commitment, what does that mean to you? What do you think that stage, means?
Welcome to the Dating and Desire podcast, a place for conversations and resources on sexual formation for adult Christians.
I'm Lauren Matthews.
And I'm Bridgett Blood.
Together, we combine our years of ministry experience and time as certified coaches, helping men and women just like you navigate dating in a way that honors your core values.
Each week, you'll hear us talk to therapists, pastors, coaches, and other leaders in the field of sexuality and relationships.
While we acknowledge believers hold various perspectives on this topic,
We're gathered around the belief that our desire is holy
our body is good.
and our story matters.
Let's dive in.
Yeah, I can say it doesn't mean that I know I want to marry this person.
100%. Yes.
It means that I have enough safety. I have enough attraction. So chemistry.
Mhm.
And curiosity of like, it would bother me to go my life without knowing more information.
I love that so much. I would feel like I missed out on something important to not keep exploring this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that it takes time to get to know somebody. That I
Time and
can't know.
intention.
I can know all right, so let's just put it in the context of this podcast. I can record a podcast episode with basically anybody. Maybe there's probably a few people where I'm like, nah, I would never go on a microphone with them ever. There's a very short list of people that I could host a podcast with. And I have committed to hosting a podcast with you. And so the way that we work in relationship, the vibe, how it feels, like that's very particular to us. And I think that does translate to dating of like, yeah, I can go to coffee, I can go to mini golf with basically anybody, and I could have a great time. Would love that. But it's the more of like, okay, I think stage 2, this commitment stage is more of like, are our values enough aligned that we have enough to talk about and we have enough experiences to partake in together that feel fun and connecting for both of us?
And you're not saying you know that at the beginning. You're saying that's what's happening during this stage. You're continuing to have dating experiences to determine, is there enough to maintain interest and curiosity and, begin growing together?
Yeah. I think for me, a distinction that feels good and right to my story, and I'm curious your perspective. For me, it feels there's a difference in, hey, we're dating other people, to we're exclusively getting to know each other, and we are in a committed boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. For me, those are 3 different things. What happens for me in both of those categories is, again, I'm not saying this is the only way. I'm just saying this is the way that works in my life. Like it's flirty friendship. if we're seeing other people, like it's flirty friendship of
Sure.
we're just trying to see what it is. For me, the shift to, hey, I just want to get to know you is I don't have the capacity to hold curiosity for multiple people anymore. I have the capacity to hold curiosity about you. And so I'm going to have, and I don't know exactly how long that's going to be. That's going to be several dates, several weeks.
Is that something that you think the other person needs to agree with you on about? Like you're both doing this at the same time? Or is that just a stance that you take personally?
I think I have grace for that.
Yeah, maybe one, maybe the other. Depends.
I definitely think that I wouldn't be okay going from we're seeing multiple people to you're my boyfriend or girlfriend. Like, that jump feels too big for me. I like the middle stage, which is, hey, I'm just getting to know you. I think for me, when I cross over into the boyfriend girlfriend category, it is now I'm asking the bigger, richer life questions of, are you someone I can build my life with? For me, when I'm in that middle ground, exclusive, not boyfriend, girlfriend yet, but we're only seeing each other, it's have I established enough safety, values, and fun connection to know I want to be in a committed relationship with you? That's kind of how my brain functions. I know you have a little bit of a
Yeah.
different perspective. Would love to hear how it works for
Yeah.
you.
I think that, and I think this is the richness of having multiple perspectives. So, like, another shout out for having many people in your life that you allow to speak into this and share their perspective, not from a place of like they're telling you what to do, they're being the boss of you, but from a place of there's richness and there's wisdom along the way from the different ways we view things. So, in my mind, stage one includes, and it's going to kind of naturally phase into what you've described as we're dating each other only. I think along the way of getting to know multiple people, because of time limitations, because of emotional bandwidth, what's naturally going to happen is you're going to have people emerge as front runners, as you're going to feel less motivated to continue to swipe on apps or go to a singles mixer because a handful of the people that you're dating, a couple of the people that you're dating are emerging as people you're continually curious about. And at some point, you're going to notice you only have bandwidth for that one person. So I think we're both saying the same thing is happening. I'm just tacking that into
Okay,
um,
great.
at the end of stage one. I think stage two is we go together, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. Some people, especially my clients who are not teenagers, who are like 30, 40, sometimes have feelings about that term, but limitations of language, that's where we are. This exclusive, committed relationship, being boyfriend and girlfriend, all of that goes together in my mind. And I like it because it gives a verbal cue to an alignment to this level of commitment. I get uncomfortable with one party or another committing to someone who's not committing back to them. And so I really like keeping together
Yes.
this verbalizing of commitment. And I like that it comes, I think it's important that it comes with a title. I was talking to a gentleman in the DMs recently about somebody he's seeing, and she's on the fence and he's not. And he was just like, we'll give it another month. And then if she can't commit, I'll have to cut bait and not continue to fish here because she's not ready or able. But I think that I think it's important. I like that the title of it come together, and that before that people are not making that decision for exclusivity and collaboration.
Okay, let's just slice that really thin because that middle ground, I think, is where we're at two different perspectives. I'm just curious. Okay, so the middle ground of we're not seeing. Oh, also one clarifying question: when we talk about seeing multiple people, are you talking about 30 people? Are you talking about 3 people? What kind of?
Imagining someone who works having the bandwidth to go on dates with certain people. That's just a lot. But
Yes.
I'm glad you threw out that big number, because I think when I say date multiple people, that's what comes to mind. Oh my gosh, Lauren's trying to tell me I don't have a downtime. I'm an introvert, and she's saying I have to be going on multiple dates a day to be dating multiple people. No, I'm saying keep your heart and your mind open to
Mhm.
connecting with
Mhm.
multiple people until you're in a committed relationship. I think, again, you said this last time, I think for the sake of maintaining an appropriate detachment,
Mhm.
there is no better way. That might be strong. There is no better way, though, to maintain that detachment than to, through your practice, continue getting to know other people. So I think the number's going to vary on your bandwidth, but I think you need to be pursuing, again, because I think you need to be pursuing connection with multiple people until you're in a committed relationship. And I think naturally, emotional bandwidth is going to be such that you're not um, capable, or you're decreasingly willing to swipe or do what it takes to be connection. I think that needs to be a marker to you that, like, oh, yeah, I'm ready to get to know this person exclusively.
Yeah. I have more questions. So maybe we can camp here for a second and then we
Yeah,
can keep
let's
going.
do it.
Okay. So I again, because we're always going to be values first. So I can see a world in which someone's saying, "Hey, I only have the bandwidth to date one person," that being an actual honoring assessment of their capacity for connection and their
Mhm.
desire for connection.
Yes.
Um, I've had seasons in my dating life where I do feel like I have the capacity for more than one person, and I definitely have had seasons where I go, I actually only have space to be intentional to connect with one person at a time.
I think also
But
in
I
your dating
also
life, you might not have the ability. It might not, it might just not happen that there are multiple people to date.
So what we're not saying is if you say yes to one person, you got to go find 3 more people to go on a date with.
Yeah, you don't need to turn this into an assignment where, if you're excited about one person, you need to go find other people to date. What we're trying to do is to slow down attachment, which is natural and normal, but in in a cultural experience where we're not dating within the safety of family structures, and we're making these decisions not outside of community but individually, we need to slow down the natural progression of attachment so that we're not trying to marry the great person that we currently are dating. There's more to discern. There's more to connect around, get to know, and we want to do a, our due diligence for ourselves and for our date to really intentionally seek connection and experiences as we discern this lifelong commitment in marriage. And so, to that end, dating other multiple people is a helpful experience. I've observed and experienced a little bit before I got married. I think the other part is we're trying to, we're not, how do I want to say it? I don't know. I don't know exactly how to say it. We're trying to avoid an early detachment, but for a lot of us, and this is not just 20 somethings, this is in our 30s, in our 40s, in our 50s, in our 60s, because of the framework that the evangelical church in this country, in the US, created around dating. A lot of us are deficient in dating skills.
Yes.
Are there are there friendship skills that will translate and benefit your marriage? 100%. Are there church community skills, community relationship skills that will translate and help your marriage? Yes, there are.
Yes.
But there are particular skills associated with the wonder of me dating and meeting that are
Mhm.
unique and that you will benefit from practicing. It is going to help your future marriage
Yes.
to be able to recognize what attraction to a person feels like. Let me tell you this personal example. I'm sad that I was shocked to learn that I would find people other than my husband attractive.
Mhm.
But this is well before I married my husband, but like it was a mind-blowing thing, and I don't think it should
Yeah.
have been. It was
Yeah.
mind-blowing for me to think, do you think other guys are cute or interesting after I get married because of the framework of dating, mating, relationships? And so practicing the skill of being able to notice what an attraction is in dating sets you up to not get caught up in your married life and think, really intellectually interesting person, probably I married the wrong person. Super hot body, probably married the wrong person. As opposed to going to that direction, you're able to say, I know what it feels like on the inside to be attracted to someone intellectually, physically. It feels like to have an emotional attraction to someone. And I can
Mhm.
name that and then redirect that attraction to my covenantal spouse. Maybe this is making me aware of a particular need in our relationship, as opposed to thinking, oh my gosh, he's super cute. Probably I married the wrong person and now I have to divorce my husband and
Mm.
marry this other.
Yeah.
No.
Mm.
So,
So good. Okay. So for our conversation today, I mean, we're so excited we could talk about this for hours. So for our conversation today, I'm thinking for those of you that are listening, um, Lauren and I have been friends for a few years, but some of these conversations in a professional context, this is the first time we're saying them out loud.
it's true.
And so you're learning with us as we're learning
Each other.
what all of those things, which is so fun. Okay, so what I'm hearing us say is I think we, as far as that middle season, you put it in step 1, I put it in step 2. I don't really know that it matters, but we are saying that a natural progression in a romantic relationship is low stakes, friendship, non-exclusive. Let's just see if we have fun and if we're safe. Then there is this natural progression that goes to, okay, now I'm actually only curious about getting to know you more romantically. Then we have I'm in a committed boyfriend, girlfriend. I would like to evaluate if we can actually build a beautiful life together. And
Yeah.
then we're saying yes to an engagement, which leads to the covenant of marriage. So that's just kind of the going back over the bubble of kind of what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Stages 1, 2, and 3. Mm-hmm.
Um, I am curious about that mm, that bridging season of, hey, I'm just curious about getting to know. What are the relational questions that you're getting to know at that point? If in non-exclusive, low stakes, we're answering the question, do I have fun? Am I safe? Am I honored? What are the types of questions that I'm beginning to ask in the, hey, I think I could be in a committed boyfriend girlfriend relationship with this person. What are those pre-questions that I'm asking before we're having that boyfriend girlfriend conversation?
Yeah. I think the category of interaction we're looking to have is a deepening intimacy. I want you to notice what happens when you offer deeper levels of vulnerability to this person. So, if in this first stage, our vulnerability, I think we should be vulnerable at every stage. But I think if we're talking about vulnerability that's like sharing a work disappointment or um, a friendship disappointment, a work joy, a success in our
Mm,
physical goals. I
yeah.
cut a minute off of my half marathon time. If we're sharing those joys and noticing, can this person be joyful with me and share that, or be down with me about it? In this second stage, we're deepening that. We're sharing more about our families of origin. We're sharing more about how those relationships are showing up in the present. We're going to talk about why this year it's a big deal that you're not going home for Christmas. Why that's a
Yes.
bigger step because you've discovered relational things. Maybe you're having conversations about toying with the idea of going no contact with certain members of
Hmm.
your family and,
Yeah.
ultimately deciding we're not going to do that, but there needs to be some relational distance. We're going to talk more in depth about um, our spiritual lives. So we're talking more in depth about our spiritual rhythms, the things that shape the way we walk with Jesus. Um, I think of it less as start and more as depth. So the kinds of conversations that you had before get deeper, and you're sharing more of your emotional experience and how that's informing what you're doing right now. I think also this stage increases the amount of dependence on each other. So we're not making this person our everything, but we are leaning on this person for practical help, for practical, like tactical help, for physical help. We're letting it may be, it should be. At some point in this stage, I'm going to call my boyfriend and let him know that I called AAA, but I have a flat tire on the side of the road.
Yeah.
That kind
That's so
of
funny.
thing.
That just reminds me of a sweet little innocent memory. I remember, like, I would say it's probably one of the first times I actually allowed my heart to, like, really have masculine care with a
Mm,
boyfriend. Um, I was, like, dealing with a lot of anxiety, and I think that I have fear that people can take this and apply this in a codependent way, and that's not what I meant. But where I was like, "Oh, I think I," and we lived in, 2 different time zones, and so I was like, "I think I need to call him, like, I think I need someone to talk to," like, I think
mm,
I think it's allowed to be him, and so I just remember calling him like,
yeah.
"I don't even I didn't even know that I could do this, but, like, this is what's happening," and I just, like, it's later where I'm at, and kinda calling my friends is not super appropriate, but in your time zone, it's much earlier in the evening, and, but also you're my person, and so I want your support, and I wanna be with you, and I think there's something really beautiful about that. As I've been hearing you talk, I think that in this stage too, for me, what creates safety is having conversations about what impacts the other person. So by this point, if it hasn't come up already naturally, things about sexual history and current sexual struggles need to be a conversation.
So this would
That
be,
feels really
we're talking, sorry. So this
mhm.
would be, we're talking about, like an STIs. We're talking about,
Yeah, we're talking about porn and
um,
masturbation. We're talking about
yeah.
whether I don't think you have to have a full detailed history of your sexual activity, but if you have been sexually active before, um, I think you're having conversations about what your values and expectations are for sexual activity within your relationship. Like, what are your, I think you're having those types of conversations. And you're also having conversations about, like, these are the ways that um, I'm contributing and an active participant in my sexual growth in my own life. And
Hmm.
so I'm not, again, this is a bigger conversation we'll have with some different experts. I don't want to open this box today, but I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, hey, I am still dealing with a pattern of pornography or masturbation. I'm not saying, oh, you can't date people. I'm saying that where you're at in recovery really matters. The support you have in recovery really matters. So those are some conversations I think are important from a sexual perspective. I think from a
Hmm.
relational perspective, things like health, those again, those are important. Um,
So good.
I deal with some autoimmune stuff, and so for me, my physical capacity for dates, um, I'm like, I'm not gonna be a get up at 4 AM, hike 17 miles, come back and go to a dinner party with friends. My body physically can't do that. Now I can do a 5-mile hike, and I can do a, you know, Chipotle, watching a movie where I can rest with an ice pack, like, I can do that, but just, like, really being honest of, like, I'm not gonna be the person that can gallivant and do this big giant thing. My body has different needs.
I'm so glad
So
you
I would
mentioned body needs, because especially for
mhm,
our older daters,
mhm,
60, 70-year-old daters, it's so good to have a framework for when we're talking about our health conditions, not just them. You're not 60,
mhm,
Bridget, but like,
yeah. Sometimes
so
I
I'm not
feel
saying
60.
not exclusively that, but yeah, this is a great time to say,
Uh-huh.
to reveal things that regarding physical health. I thought that was really brilliant point, and I think it's an easy thing to skip, but a worthy
Yeah.
part. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, and I think mental health is important to talk about at this point. Again, it doesn't mean you're having to share your therapy notes, but to say, "Hey, um, I have dealt with depression in the past. These are again, I think for me, the way that you're building trust is not saying you're this perfect person that has no problems. You're saying when my problems show up in my life, when I'm triggered, when I'm in a flare, when I'm feeling trauma resurface, this is where I'm going to take care of myself. Um, because if you are with someone that can take care of themselves, they can take care of you. If a
Yeah.
person you are dating does not have, this is my hot take, I have fear of saying, but I do believe it's true. If the person you are dating does not have any rhythms in their singleness where they are consistently and with a good outcome taking care of their own needs and issues on their own, they are not going to do that in relationship with you, and they are going to resent you for doing it yourself in relationship. I'm just convinced of it because if you do not
Hmm.
have that personal value in yourself, it will be annoying to you that someone else does it. And once those oxytocin yumminess wears off, you're left with a person that's triggered, that has trauma, that has physical needs, that has a sexual story, that has family enmeshment issues, that has financial, whatever it is. Like when those things come up, to be able to have those things. And so, again, I'm not saying that you're saying, this is every mental health struggle I've ever dealt with. This is every sexual experience I've ever had. I'm not saying you go into all of those situations before there's trust. But what I am saying is that you are conveying that you know where you're weak and you have a pathway to healthy connection to help you grow as a flourishing person so that you're establishing trust with the other person, that when hard things come up, that it's not just up to the two of you to face by yourself. You have support for that already.
Yeah. I want to say to the men that are listening and thinking that we're saying, in order to be a worthy, healthy man, you need to be in therapy. Just our understanding of the percentage of men that are in therapy, that's not necessarily what it needs to be. If you can confidently say, this is my circle of guys, or this is my guy, and when things start to hit the fan, he's on my speed dial. We have a regular monthly check-in where the meeting is set aside to talk about hard things. It's not the, did you see the game conversation? We intentionally do that. These are
Yes.
also, therapy is not the only place, or spiritual direction or coaching is not the only place that you can turn to and say, I have these guardrails in my life because I am caring for myself. And also, to everyone listening, if hearing this, you're feeling like, oh shoot, I'm a liability. Know
Mm,
that you're never too late to start taking care of yourself, right? If you notice in this conversation, things that you want to invite, you feel invitation to care for yourself better, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Let this be an invitation, because what you're not trying to do is have a certain amount of, I don't know, like coins in the bank to prove and say,
yeah.
look, person that I'm dating, look, I've been doing all this stuff and now I'm worthy. No, from a place of the value you already have, the worthiness that already is stamped on you from the foundation of the world, you can choose to move toward the health and the flourishing that's available to
Mm-hmm.
you. That felt important to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. I love that. Love it. Love it. Okay. So now we're out in our journey. Well, how do you have that conversation? How
I
do you
love it.
recommend the boyfriend girlfriend conversation?
Think it definitely needs to be a conversation. So one thing to know about me is I'm gonna talk about everything. And I don't think it is wise or a good expectation to assume this level of commitment, right? So I do think it needs to be
Yes.
an overt conversation. Um, I have a lot of space for who initiates this conversation, but regardless of who initiates the conversation, I think there needs to be let me back up and say, I don't think it's uncommon for one person to be ready before the other person. And so I want there to be space in your mind that it is normal and good for one person to be ready to move to being boyfriend, girlfriend, and the other person maybe not have thought about it, maybe still be on the fence about it. That doesn't mean it's an automatic no. I think um I think that it's most likely that a guy is going to feel this knowing and be willing to move toward it before a lady. I think a guy needs to have some space in his repertoire or in his relational capacity to say, I might initiate this conversation and she not be ready, but I know how long I can hang on, and I'm willing to be in that space that you're providing for her to feel emotionally safe and let you know she's ready to talk about this before I cut bait. So I don't think that this is so gendered. I don't think that that's an expectation I have for ladies. I think, ladies, if you initiate this conversation with a guy and he's not ready, I think you need to be ready to cut bait. And I know that that's, I know.
Tell me more about this. Tell me more about it.
I think that in the dance of romantic relationship, naturally, a man is creating relational safety in a way that is special. It's unique and requires a willingness to go first. That is different for a lady who is receiving um, that safety. And so, because I think this is in men, I think it requires a willingness to go first and be brave in this way. Yeah, I'm not
Yes.
even giving really great rationale. I think it's different, and I think it is in us. And so what I fear, especially men will hear me saying, is that guys have to wait around until a lady says she's ready. The men that I've worked with in coaching make me a mama bear about the opposite of that. I have no tolerance for women who will continue to accept um, romantic gestures from men they're not interested in because
Yeah.
it feels good. I'm not here
Mm-hmm.
for that. So I'm not saying wait around forever. That's why I said have clear in your mind, gentlemen, after initiating a um, exclusivity conversation, where your cutoff point is, and with courage, knowing God's not the author of confusion, and so giving someone space to make up their mind is not the same thing as being in a constant this for those who are listening, like circuit of confusion. You can't wait for ever. You can't wait for years. You can't wait for months, in my opinion. I think about a month to continue getting to know someone is sufficient for people who are, fully adults to determine, yeah, I'm into you and I'm willing to be exclusive or not. And I think the fear that this is the only person that I'm going to um, have a chance to do this with, or the fear that this is as good as it can cloud our vision and make us think, I'm not ready to date. But I think it is senseless to date casually for months and months without the commitment of exclusivity. I think that in the end, that does us harm. I know I said a bunch of crazy stuff. I can't wait to get the emails.
Well, what's funny is I am a very strong-willed, independent, have a little bit of Enneagram 8, will say all of my feelings all of the time, have no problem with conflict type of gal. Which has led to me in my relational history typically being the one to initiate hard conversations first, because that's just my personality, where it's like, hey, we got to talk about this. If you're not going to bring it up, I'm going to bring it up. And I used to kind of push back on the, like, well, a girl can have that conversation. Why do we have to wait for a guy? I think my perspective on this is changing
Ooh, say more.
because because I'm on the defense if I don't know the dude's thinking about it. Like, I don't actually have the capacity to, like, breathe and settle into my softness if I don't know where a dude stands with me. And that's why I love having DTRs a lot. I'm like, "Hey, this is where I'm at." And I do think that there's something really beautiful in the guy initiating that conversation because it creates so much capacity in,
Mm,
again, I'm talking about my experience, for curiosity, for closeness to him, um, for appreciation. But when I'm like, I don't even know what you think about me, I'm on guard the whole freaking time. Like, I can't chill out and actually
yeah.
really have space to soften. Um,
So in that first stage, jumping back just a little bit, the kinds of things that can communicate he's enjoying. He's enjoying what he's getting to know about me, and I can rest and notice, do I enjoy it too? Are things like compliments. It's not just the fact that you keep asking her out, but like verbally signaling, "Ah, I'm having such a good time." If you're enjoying
yes,
yourself,
joy.
saying it, and this is both people, right? We we can't turn dating into this like weird evil manipulation and game playing, secret lights. Like, we get to date in a way where we say the thing, I'm having such a great time. This is so fun. Um, and I get like trying to hold things close to your chest, but it doesn't serve us in dating to hold back on those things. And it's so helpful to pay attention to individually. It's so helpful to notice in your story when you're making meaning of someone saying, had such a great time. Can't wait to do this again. I'm ready to talk on the phone a little bit more in between dates. Is that something you're comfortable with? Like picking that on as appreciation. Man, thank you so much for planning such a great date. Look, all of those things are facilitating ease, relaxation, so you can know where you are. Okay, that was a little bit off topic going back to stage one, but you were saying, Bridgett, like you you can't let this once you start thinking about this, it's lingering in your mind and you need clarity in order to relax enough to keep getting to know the other person.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
this
mine. Oh, sorry.
this exclusivity conversation is not an engagement. It's not a proposal. It's not saying, like you said at the beginning of this episode, I know I'm going to marry you. All we're saying is at some point you need to keep you need to direct all of your dating energy to getting to know this person in exclusivity.
Okay, so let's talk about that because I feel like that's the gray area tension that I know I have struggled with, that other people have struggled with of like, okay, there's this, hey, this is my okay, just for language sake cuz I'll use this a lot. I have fear of this coming across as a political statement. It's not. I actually really love the term romantic partner because I
Mm,
want a partnership. I love using that language. It does not
mm-hmm.
have any sort of politica agenda on it or sexual agenda on it other than this is my romantic partner that he and I are committing to doing life together. I like the language. I know, so I like it. I like to use that. Um, I'm okay with people having other opinions about that term. Um, um, okay, so there's that I'm in partnership to you right now. I'm I guess my fear that I've experienced is like this is where that don't want to waste your time starts kicking in for me. Because I don't want to jump to, oh my gosh, like we have to find out in the next 6 weeks if we're going to marry each other. But I also don't want to be sitting around being like, oh, what you want with your life and what I want with my life is very different. We have to cut this off now. So, yeah, how are you guiding people through that of how are we staying present in the moment of, hey, I'm getting to know you, I'm building trust with you, I'm building connection with you, but I also am really beginning to assess of like, is this someone that I could marry, that I could build a life, that I not only that I could, well, maybe there's two questions. Maybe there's the could I build a life with this person? And then there's the No, wait, is the actual reality of the lives that we desire that we're living in, is that something I actually want to build a life with?
Yeah. I think the guidance I try to provide for my clients is that in part, this is a continuation of the very beginning. If you met on an app and you noticed their profile said something particular about children or
Mhm,
smoking weed or
mhm.
um, something else that's like a defining thing, I think well before exclusivity, that's an appropriate conversation to be having. So as you're thinking about, I want to date you in particular, and maybe you're saying we've already decided to be exclusive,
Yeah,
boyfriend,
sorry, I
girlfriend.
missed that. Yeah.
Okay, and boyfriend, girlfriend, what are you doing? In some ways, the same stuff. You're continuing to go on dates, spend time together,
Mhm,
with your people, alone, having experience together. I know this can feel um, controversial, but within your value system, having extended experiences together where you get to naturally talk about the things that are coming up. So while there may be intentional conversations that are getting deeper around like number of kids or
mhm.
where you see your career taking you. I saw this amazing dating profile on Instagram. This young man is entering medical school and his Instagram profile is trying to find a wife. And so he's like laying it out there with just like his non-negotiables. So on the front end, he's saying you need to be okay with the fact that for the next 10 years, I'm going to be in school. We're not going to have flashy, awesome vacations. I'm going to be gone a lot. But if you can rock with me for these 10 years, oh my gosh,
Yeah, for
such a long
sure.
time. Okay, so
Mhm,
we're talking, sorry, I'm getting distracted and excited. I think in the normal continuing to share about the big areas of your life, you're going to get deeper. What does that look like for professionally? If if I were dating right now and I had just entered a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, I would be saying to my boyfriend, man, I just started this podcast with my friend Bridget, and I think this is going to be a thing. I really feel more than ever before, like God's call in my life is to talk about dating, mating, sexuality to the church. And I don't have all the pieces of that, but like, I don't know if I get to be an influencer, but I do know this message is in me. I'm going to keep talking about. I have to talk about that. So in the normal course of sharing my life with my boyfriend, I'm going to be talking about, man, we landed this guest. It's going to be so fun. And to hear and feel the real reaction. I don't mean to oversimplify everything, but when we let the sharing of ourselves go deeper appropriately
mhm.
in this
Yeah.
stage, I think we're going to get the data points that we need. When we say, um, my parents are coming for a visit, I feel really stressed out. We get to share the story of why or notice our reticence in ourselves to share the story. We get to butt up against, you know what? My parents are just here. I think we performed for you this weekend. I want to tell you why you might have felt disconnection with me because this part of my family story really stresses me out. I want you to know. Look, so I don't feel like that's a I don't feel like that's a scapegoat, but I know it's not a clear answer. I'm saying let's go deeper on all of these areas of life by noticing what you want to share more of and what
Mhm.
you feel afraid to share and doing real work with that. And this is where, you know, our brain trusts, our trusted community come into play. They're the people that we still get to say, he talked about he talked about wanting a big family again. And I felt myself hide and just smile instead of saying, I think I got 2 kids max in me. I mean,
Yeah.
ovaries, there's lots of eggs, but you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
can do this twice because there are other things I want to do with my life. And he mentioned homeschooling again. And I'm like, I can't be a homeschool mom. I don't think I want to do that or
You can
whatever it
have a
might
great
be.
time with that.
He should totally be a homeschool dad. There's some
Yeah.
awesome homeschool dads I know. Anyway, what else did that bring up or what does that make you think, Bridget?
Oh,
That I'm not
well,
giving answers.
No, I love that. I think that I have a soapbox, and then I do want to talk about sexuality in this season too. But
We also need to talk
um,
about finances.
oh gosh, we have a lot to talk about. Okay, let's go quick. Let's go quick. This is how I get. I always have 1,000 words. Um, from a notice that I have in my body. Again, I just want to keep saying this to our listeners. The reason why I'm giving examples is because I'm living this alongside of you. So I am actually having conversations with men I'm dating saying,
Yeah.
I'm giving my whole life to teaching people about healthy sexuality. Are you in or are you out? Those are real conversations I'm having. But I don't want you ever to feel like, well, if Bridgett does it this way, I have to do it this way. You get to
Right.
sit with Holy Spirit in your community, and you get to decide what's best and flourishing for you. I'm just giving you examples, so hopefully you don't feel so alone. Just want to clear the air on that.
I like it.
I have to slow myself down when I start asking questions. Am I allowed to ask him this? Am I allowed to share this? That's the question. Am I allowed is when I feel my body step back into those religious rules of like, oh, nope, has to be done this way, has to be said this way, has to be dot, dot, dot. And it's suffocating to me, and it sure as heck suffocating to the dude, I can promise you. And that's an area where I'm growing. And so really being able to slow myself down to being, hey, like, what do I feel like I need to share today? What, um, what can't I go one more day, one more week without having a conversation about what feels important to me and slowing those things down? My soapbox that when we can go, then we can go to finances. My soapbox is that this is my thing that I think I'm right on. Um, I believe everybody has to do pre-engagement counseling. I think that if you wait until you're engaged to go to counseling, it's too late.
Whoa, this is a bold statement. Say more.
Um, your dysfunction is already there. Like your dysfunction, how you hide. We'll talk more about sexual stuff, but like your sexual relationship, the blueprint for that, it's already in place. How you relate to each other's families, like all that is already on the table. You're just not talk. You might just not be talking about it. And again, I want to be inclusive. That can be with a therapist. That can be with a coach. That can be with a pastor, with the caveat they say nice things about romance and women and sex and marriage. If they have I'm going to say some language here. If they have bad marriages, do not go to them for coaching. Do not go to them. But it can even be a mentor in your church, like people that are people that you admire their relationship. I think that's a huge thing. If it's not a relationship that you would want, if it's not a sexual experience that you would want to, value in your system, I ain't talking to those people. But I do think it's really important because to clarify, the outside person is not taking the side of one person. The outside person is someone who can say, I'm going to fight for the flourishing of both of you, whether that means you end up married or not.
Hmm.
And it's so beautiful. And it's okay. I just want to say this as someone who's done this a couple times. It's okay if you get to this stage and in having those outside conversations, you get the clarity you need to know this isn't the person I want to marry.
Yeah, I mean, because when you say pre-engagement coaching or counseling, that feels like high commitment.
Mm.
So
Oh, okay.
maybe,
So I'm clarification. I'm just saying counseling or coaching before you're talking about engagement.
yeah, yeah. Okay, like
That's my hot take.
I think that I feel the hotness of that take, and I feel in my body, and oh, are we saying you're engaged? I also hear in my head, Bridgett, myself saying like, that feels really serious
Oh, okay.
for like, um, navigating. And also I feel this tug inside of me that's like, how helpful might it be if we have, mature couples in our church that would be willing to mentor a dating couple, meet once a month or meet 3 times every 3 weeks to have dinner and say, how's it going? And people with the mindset that are not just going to say, are you having sex or talking dirty to each other on the phone? Are you spending the night at each other's house?
Yeah.
No? Awesome. Like, I feel fear that
Okay, yeah.
looking for that kind of relationship might be hard.
Okay, so I missed on that. Thank you. This is where my intensity in my soapbox gets loud. So interesting. So I have an older couple in my life in their 60s, and their feedback on my last relationship, this is really fascinating. Their feedback, especially from the wife on their last relationship, is that they felt like they wanted to do the low risk mentoring, but they felt like I had put a really strong boundary of until it's ready to be serious, I don't want your feedback, which is not what I
Mm.
communicated with my words, but it is what I communicated with my body language.
Okay.
And so, yeah, maybe I jumped too strong. I think they're two separate things. I think this is hard. I think that's why I think there is this is my boyfriend or girlfriend. We're getting to know each other. We're doing more of the same thing. I think there's that where the mentoring thing is helpful. And then I think there's the second part of this is so confusing, right? Because we're trying to put a formula to something that doesn't have a formula.
But high level, we're
But
saying
high level
there should
speaking,
be, yeah.
there are people in the hey, we need support before it gets to the hey, I actually am thinking that I could possibly spend my life with this person. I want to do some intentional coaching, counseling, whatever. I think before that um having
I
outside
think,
people and having outside people is different than having some accountability in the yucky sense of like the Christian accountability of the are you having sex? Like no, we're talking way more. We're talking about like do you feel like you're advocating for your needs? Do you feel like this other person hears you? And both people, right? Like, I'm under no expectation that people aren't going to experience pain. People will experience pain with me. And how do I create safety for that?
so we're
So,
not
maybe,
just
yeah.
talking about when the couple's in distress. We're not just talking about distress points, help us navigate this conflict. We're talking about who can come alongside us and whether it's an unprofessional, non-professional relationship,
Hmm.
be our friends, be our
Yes.
first couple friends, who's
Mhm.
older and wiser, who can be our couple friends, and we let our lives touch. And
Yes.
with the intention of talking about the
The
romantic
real things.
relationship that we're in. So it's like we're not just saying, let's get together and be friends. We're saying, let's get together and be relationship friends. Let's be couple
Yes.
friends. And sometimes that's going to take the form of coaching. But you're saying it needs to happen. There need to be people intentionally speaking into this dating relationship before you're determining, are we getting engaged or are we breaking up? So that can, again, it can take the form of coaching. It can take the form of working with a therapist, but it can also be an intentional invitation to older couples at church or in your relationship circle to say, can we have dinner once a month and talk about our relationships? Would you feel comfortable if I have a relationship question or want to talk something through? Could you maintain confidentiality, honor and respect that, but talk to us when
Hmm.
I have a question? Because we want to
Yeah.
do this well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go through that because I want to cast a vision for what it could look like, not just for the dating couple, but also for the allies of single Christian people who are trying to get married to say, this is the call. We need to be ready to do as the body of Christ. Because to your point, Bridget, I hear discipleship all over this. It's an invitation to an intentional discipleship.
That's what I want to say. The reason why you would do, I think we have to take the the success of having an outside coach or counselor in a dating relationship is not if you marry the person. It's the how can I operate best within this relationship to
Yes.
honor the goodness and glory of this person right now? Because I have said yes to that. I haven't said yes to forever, but I have said yes to I'm going to show up and own where I still need to grow in my relationship journey and how that impacts you and how we interact with one another. And so that's what we're getting support on. We're not getting support necessarily on discerning the marriage part of it. Like, that's a secondary thing we can talk about. It's I'm training for an athletic event, and we need support because we want to make sure our bodies are supported, our hearts are supported, our minds are supported, so that our bodies can do what they're made to do.
A little bit of sadness that my husband and I didn't have that together, but even hearing you articulate this, I think of the women who came alongside me and were so beautifully supportive to me dating my husband well. And it also makes me excited to be that for people. So,
For sure.
yeah, so good.
So good. Again, we have 1,000 more things to say.
Yes, but we can't
What do
say
we
them
do?
today.
Do we want to say
I
them
think
today, or do we want to come back to do another part of this?
we might need to come back and do another part of stage 2, and then eventually we can get to stage 3, navigating that engagement decision and that stage of relationship. I think that'll be good.
Yeah, so I would say on our next conversation, we'll talk more about finances, sexual boundaries,
Huh?
family, and outside relationships, how that works in this stage. We'll come back to it. So,
Yeah,
as always, we have
exes, the
1,000
whole
more
thing.
things to say and never enough time to say it.
But we're glad that you're rocking with us, joining us, and we look forward to connecting the next summer.
Thanks so much for spending your time with us today. If this conversation encouraged you, challenged you, or helped you feel a little less alone in your dating journey, we'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with someone who might also need the encouragement. You'll find links in the show notes to connect with today's guest, as well as other ways to work with Lauren and me through coaching and other opportunities designed to support you in dating with clarity, trust, and integrity. We believe you don't have to shut down your desire or abandon your values to build a meaningful connection, and we're honored to walk alongside you as you navigate that journey. You can also find us on Instagram at Dating and Desire, where we'll continue the conversation. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.